What if the next global success formula isn't coming from Silicon Valley but from Shenzhen? What if the smartest career move in 2026 isn't just learning to code but learning Mandarin? A new internet movement called Chinamaxxing is quietly spreading across social media, and it's changing how thousands of young people think about power, money, technology, and the future. Some call it strategic, some call it controversial, but one thing is certain, it reflects a massive shift in how the world sees China. Chinamaxxing is not an official ideology, it's not a government campaign, it's an online-born mindset at its core. Chinamaxxing is the belief that China represents the future center of global growth and that individuals should align their skills, knowledge, and cultural awareness with that future, instead of focusing only on Western markets, Western media, and Western career paths. Supporters of this trend are looking east. They are studying China's economic rise, its technological acceleration, its manufacturing dominance, and its long-term strategic planning. To understand why this trend is gaining attention, we need to look at the bigger picture. Over the past 4 decades, China has transformed from a developing economy into one of the most powerful nations on Earth. It has become the world's manufacturing hub, producing everything from smartphones to solar panels. Cities like Shenzhen have evolved from small towns into global technology capitals in just a few decades. Infrastructure projects that take years in other countries are completed in record time. High-speed rail networks connect massive urban centers. Digital payment systems are deeply integrated into everyday life. For many young observers online, this level of speed and coordination feels futuristic. Chinamaxxing supporters often point to China's dominance in specific industries. In electric vehicles, Chinese companies have rapidly expanded production and global exports. In renewable energy, China leads in solar panel manufacturing. In artificial intelligence research, Chinese firms and universities are publishing competitive research. And building advanced applications in e-commerce and digital platforms, Chinese apps serve hundreds of millions of users with seamless integration of shopping, messaging, and payments. The narrative emerging online is simple. If global influence follows economic and technological strength, then China's influence will only grow stronger in the coming decades. But Chinamaxxing is not just about admiring GDP numbers or factory output, it is also about adopting a perceived mindset. Online discussions often highlight discipline, long-term planning, educational rigor, and collective focus as characteristics that supporters associate with China's rise. Whether these perceptions are fully accurate or simplified is another debate, but the trend thrives on this idea of structured ambition. Many young people feel that Western self-improvement culture focuses heavily on motivation and personal branding, while Chinamaxxing promotes strategic positioning within large-scale global shifts. A major part of the movement involves language. Learning Mandarin is frequently presented as a strategic advantage. English has long been the global business language, but Chinamaxxing supporters argue that bilingual or multilingual professionals will have greater leverage in a multipolar world. They see Mandarin not just as a cultural skill, but as economic preparation. If trade partnerships, supply chains, and technology collaborations increasingly involve Chinese firms, then language becomes access. Another important dimension is geopolitics. The global system is no longer unipolar. The conversation about world power has shifted from who is dominant to how influence is distributed. Chinamaxxing content often frames the 21st century as an Asian century, or at least a century defined by shared global power between East and West. For young entrepreneurs and students, this shift represents opportunity. They ask practical questions. Where will the fastest-growing markets be? Where will infrastructure investments expand? Where will innovation clusters form? Instead of thinking emotionally about global rivalry, they think strategically about positioning. Technology plays a central role in this narrative. Artificial intelligence, robotics, semiconductor manufacturing, biotechnology, and green energy are fields that will shape the next 50 years. China's heavy investment in these areas is widely discussed in Chinamaxxing circles. The message is clear: align your education and skills with industries that China is scaling aggressively. That could mean studying AI engineering, supply chain management, renewable energy systems, international trade, or cross-border digital marketing. The trend reframes personal development as geopolitical awareness. However, it is important to understand that Chinamaxxing is not universally praised. Critics argue that it oversimplifies complex global dynamics. They say it reduces an entire civilization into a productivity blueprint. Others point out that no country's system is perfect and that blind admiration can lead to unrealistic expectations. Some see the trend as reactionary, emerging from dissatisfaction with economic stagnation or political frustration in other parts of the world. In this interpretation, Chinamaxxing is less about China itself and more about searching for a model of stability and growth. There is also a cultural layer. Online aesthetics often accompany the movement. Videos showcasing modern Chinese skylines, bullet trains, robotics labs, neon-lit megacities, and advanced manufacturing plants circulate widely. These visuals create a futuristic atmosphere combined with statistics about export growth and tech patents. They create a compelling narrative of momentum. Social media amplifies these images, compressing complex economic transformations into short, high-impact clips. For a generation raised on fast information, visuals can shape perception quickly. Chinamaxxing also reflects a broader trend: global curiosity. The internet has made cultural exploration easier than ever. Young people can watch Chinese vloggers, study Chinese entrepreneurs, explore Chinese history, and analyze Chinese policies without leaving their homes. Exposure reduces distance. As distance shrinks, so does the psychological barrier to engagement. Instead of seeing China as a distant, abstract superpower, many now see it as a dynamic environment filled with opportunity. From a career standpoint, some professionals are using the Chinamaxxing mindset as risk diversification. Rather than betting entirely on one region's economic future, they expand their network and knowledge base. International trade specialists, logistics experts, translators, AI researchers, and startup founders are all evaluating how global supply chains are evolving. If certain manufacturing sectors continue consolidating in Asia, then expertise in those networks becomes valuable. In this sense, Chinamaxxing is framed as strategic hedging. Education is another key area of discussion. Chinese universities have climbed global rankings. Research output has increased dramatically. International student exchange programs have expanded. Some supporters believe that academic collaboration with Chinese institutions will become increasingly important in fields like engineering and applied sciences. They encourage students to monitor scholarship programs, research partnerships, and internship pipelines connected to Asian markets. It is also worth noting that trends like Chinamaxxing can evolve quickly. Internet movements are fluid. What begins as a niche conversation can either expand into mainstream strategy or fade into meme culture. The staying power of Chinamaxxing will depend on real-world developments. If China continues to expand its technological influence and economic partnerships, the trend may strengthen. If global conditions shift dramatically, the narrative could change. At a deeper level, Chinamaxxing reveals something important about generational thinking. Younger generations are highly aware of structural shifts. They track economic indicators, technological innovation, demographic trends, and global alliances in ways that previous generations often ignored at early ages. They see career planning not just as choosing a job, but as aligning with macro trends. The idea is simple: don't swim against the current of history. Learn to recognize the direction of the flow. But alignment does not mean imitation. One of the most balanced perspectives emerging from thoughtful observers is that Chinamaxxing should not be about abandoning one culture for another. Instead, it can be about integration. Learn from multiple systems, study different governance models, understand various business philosophies. Build cross-cultural intelligence. In a world defined by interdependence, adaptability becomes the ultimate advantage. There is also the psychological factor of momentum. People are naturally attracted to growth stories. When a country demonstrates rapid development, large infrastructure projects, technological breakthroughs, and global investment initiatives, it creates a sense of inevitability. Momentum attracts attention. Attention fuels online discourse. Online discourse shapes trends. Chinamaxxing thrives in that environment of perceived acceleration. Yet caution is necessary. Global power dynamics are complex, economic growth rates fluctuate, political relationships shift, technological breakthroughs can emerge from unexpected places. The United States, Europe, India, Southeast Asia, and other regions are also investing heavily in innovation. A multipolar world means competition and collaboration will coexist. The smartest strategy may not be choosing one side, but understanding all sides. So is Chinamaxxing a smart move or an internet exaggeration? The answer likely depends on how it is applied. If it encourages deeper research, language learning, cultural understanding, and strategic career planning, it can be constructive. If it becomes blind hype or simplistic hero worship, it loses depth. The real value lies in awareness, recognizing that global influence is shifting forces. Individuals to think critically about their long-term positioning. The bigger lesson may not be about China alone, it may be about agility. The world is changing faster than ever. Artificial intelligence is automating industries. Supply chains are reorganizing. Digital currencies and fintech systems are redefining payments. Renewable energy is reshaping power grids. Demographic changes are influencing labor markets. In this environment, paying attention to global leaders in any sector becomes part of intelligent planning. Chinamaxxing is ultimately a reflection of curiosity about the future. It signals that young people are watching global transformation closely. They are not content with outdated assumptions about permanent dominance or static hierarchies. They are asking, where is growth happening? Where is innovation accelerating? Where should I invest my time and skills? Whether the movement grows or fades, the conversation it sparks is important. It challenges viewers to think beyond borders. It encourages multilingualism. It pushes for economic literacy. It highlights the importance of technological awareness. In a deeply interconnected world, those who understand multiple systems hold an advantage. As we move deeper into the 2020s, global competition will intensify. Nations will race to lead in AI, robotics, clean energy, biotech, and advanced manufacturing. Trade alliances will evolve. Digital ecosystems will compete for dominance. The individuals who succeed will likely be those who can navigate complexity, interpret global signals, and adapt quickly. Chinamaxxing may be one expression of that adaptive mindset. It captures the idea that the future will not look exactly like the past. Power may be distributed differently. Opportunity may arise in unexpected places. The key is not fear nor blind admiration, but informed awareness. The world is entering a new chapter defined by technological acceleration and geopolitical recalibration. Trends like Chinamaxxing remind us that global narratives are being rewritten in real time. The smartest move is to stay informed, stay adaptable, and stay strategically curious. Because in the end, the real question is not whether one country will dominate forever. The real question is whether you are preparing yourself for a world where influence is shared, innovation is global, and opportunity belongs to those who see change before it becomes obvious. And that is why Chinamaxxing matters not just as a trend, but as a signal.